began writing with words around the 5th or 6th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th, middle school. But in a way, I had always been writing with pictures because I drew. I was an artist, the way so many children are. And it wasn't until the middle school years that I started looking at poetry and short stories as models, and that I could say definitively that's when I switched to language and words. When I was a child, the writers that inspired me were Lewis Carroll and the works of Hans Christian Andersen and the Brothers Grimm, Greek mythology, anything that was written in another time, because I thought of the stories, storytelling having a special magical language. But later, as I was writing House on Manga Street in my 20s, the models became for me women, American women writers who were doing something distinctive in storytelling, maybe bringing another culture, another language to American letters. So that's why writers like Maxine Hong Kingston were influential, Grace Paley, Jean Reese, even though she writes in English, but she writes as an outsider, having grown up in the West Indies and then moving to Europe. I was looking at writers who might give me a direction for the book I was working on. And there were also Latin American writers that were influential. Jorge Luis Borges, Manuel Puig, people that were doing experimental things with genres and blurring fiction and doing something that I thought was novel with the story form. The advice I would give all writers, male or female, is to go to school and to get as much of an education as possible. I think it's very difficult to become a writer without the education. It's hard to do anything without the education, but especially if you're going to write. So I tell them to study anything that will make them marketable. It's important to earn your own money if you're a woman writer, because a lot of times if you're married or living in your father's house, you generally have to follow the direction of whoever's paying your rent. So it's important to be economically independent, and to that end, I think an education is important for that independence, for you to be able to have a room of your own, a house of your own, an apartment of your own in which to create. A writing space is important so that you can go somewhere that's quiet, that allows you to take those leaps of the imagination, someplace where you can cry and you could laugh and no one will interrupt you, and a space that you feel safe to think things that you feel are unthinkable, to say things that you would never say out loud, to take risk and to feel safe and give yourself permission to take those risks. You know, it's very important to not censor yourself, and I think women especially feel self-censored. So for me, the space is about liberty and a freeing of the imagination to go some places that are maybe places I would not be brave enough to go in my everyday life. So it's about creating a sacred space where the imagination can take flight.